I never wanted a letter from a magical school that was delivered by an owl or whatever, but like my heart swole up and I got a little misty eyed when I got a letter from the ghost who walks. Hey, welcome to the table. Today we're gonna talk a little bit about the Phantom. The Phantom is I guess, yeah, the Phantom is. Probably always will be. I really hope so. What is the Phantom? The Phantom was a comic that started back in, I want to say, like the late 30s, mid to late 30s. And it was, it was like an adventure comic strip. Fawkes was the creator of it. And it's about this guy who wears the old school domino mask, right? Like Zorro wears it. Robin has one, and and a purple bodysuit, and he's got a belt, and he's got in some iterations he's got pistols, and a horse, I think at some point he had like a parrot or a condor or a falcon or something. I'm not that old, so I don't remember all of it. He has like a wolf as well, and he becomes sort of this vigilante in this pulpy jungle setting, right? And he's a do-gooder, and he's there to protect the jungle from those who would encroach upon it. And he's there to protect like archaeologists and newspaper reporters and scientists and people who crash in planes or zeppelins or whatever from the dangers of the jungle. That's what he does. He's a fan. There's a really fun movie. Billy Zane's in it, and that's a ton of fun. And I really like that movie, and I watched it a lot as a kid. I had a ring from I want to say like 7-Eleven or something. There was a Phantom ring that I got. It had like a little skull on it or something. And I wore that thing until it broke. It turned my finger all sorts of gross colors because I'm sure it was made of material that you were supposed to be like, this is neat, and then be over it. But I really liked the Phantom as a kid. I thought he was a ton of fun. He was in newspaper comics, and newspaper comics would show up. And one of the things that if you lived in a household where the newspaper would arrive, you'd eventually get your turn with the newspaper, and you could sit quietly and read the comics in the paper. And yeah, the Phantom was one of those ones that I always gravitated towards when it was running in our local paper, because he was always on some adventure. He was saving somebody or going through a crazy tomb or something like that. It was very Indiana Jones in tone. I've always really liked pulp stuff, so the Phantom totally worked for me. That being said, my pals at Mad Cave Studios, and I've worked with Mad Cave on some projects that I'm very proud of. Everybody that I know from the Mad Cave team are easily the most delightful people that you could encounter in the comic industry. That I've had the pleasure of meeting. And that's not to say that other people aren't rad. I just interact with the Mad Cave people a lot, and I am always grateful for those interactions, and I am always grateful when we have a chance to be in the same space together and can hang out. Their talent is great. Their catalog of books is a ton of fun, and they're doing the Phantom. They're doing the Phantom now. And I knew that and had reviewed it for Free Comic Book Day, which was a while ago. So it was surprising to me when I get this package in the mail from Mad Cave. I have no idea what it's going to be, because sometimes stuff just shows up at my door randomly, and it's the Phantom, right? It's the Free Comic Book Day issue, and it has this little insert with it that says the Phantom is a friend to good and an enemy to evil, right? So that's neat. Really rad cover, classic art, and that's a little insert. It's the number 0. And on the back, it says the Phantom 1 is hitting shelves September 24th, which will be fairly soon after this video comes out. Excuse me. The final cutoff date was September 1st, so we've missed that already. And you can subscribe to Mad Cave's digital bundle and receive the issues digitally if you like to read digital comics as they release, right? And it's really awesome because it's Ray Fawkes and Russell Olson who do this book. And there's a really neat little card in the back with some info on it. Yeah, it's Kit Walker, which is one of the Phantoms. He's the 21st Phantom. Because there's Phantom like 2099. That was a cartoon I watched as a kid too. It was a Super Nintendo video game. That was a ton of fun. And it's the same kind of vibe, except it's like a sort of a mecha Tokyo mecha, like Judge Dredd style city, right? Like super future city. And there was these like conservation jungles that were under glass and stuff, and he was the Phantom who was sort of protecting them from having the resources drained by evil corporations. Which is, when I was a kid, that was the tone of my cartoons. I mean, we had Captain Planet, we had things of that nature that were very like, let's not destroy the Earth, which I loved because I thought that was super cool. I still think we should not be destroying the Earth. All that said, Phantom was super cool. What else came with this, though, is very touching. I say that because the effort that some person had to go to do this is adorable. So there's a letter that sort of talks about it's a little Phantom story that goes with it. It's signed that goes to Fawkes with a little insignia. It's very rough hewn around the edges, which means some brilliant human in an office somewhere either had those funky craft scissors or sat there with a cutter or something and made these scalloped edges, these sort of rough edges, because it's not a pattern. Like, this was just done. Somebody did this. It came with some little bits of green, kind of compressed, silly paper, so it looked like vines. And it also had this fun, Mad Cave little, boop, boop. This would be great wrapping paper. So this little Mad Cave, accoutrement paper that was in there to protect it as well. And it's a rad story. I mean, I've read it. It was awesome. I did a review for it when it was coming out for New Comic Book Day. I think it's a ton of fun. I think it shows a lot of progress. I'm very excited to see what the series is going to have in store. They did a great job with Dick Tracy, which is another kind of pulp story that I'm a huge fan of. Their Flash Gordon series is fun. So adding the Phantom to the mix is kind of a no-brainer. It makes sense that Mad Cave would have the Phantom on the roster. And was kind of the one I was looking forward to the most of sort of that collection. So I'm really stoked to see where this series is going to go, and I'm really glad that it landed at Mad Cave because those people who work there are talented, and the editors are super cool, and the marketing people are super cool. And this is one of those times where I would shout out one or two people, but this would just be a list of names of people who work there that I know who are rad. And I love them all. And I think, if you're going to support a comic company, Mad Cave is a pretty rad company to support. They have some pretty awesome books, and they're doing some really cool stuff. And not just them, they do some really cool stuff in their paper cuts line. They have an imprint that's for younger readers, and then they have Maverick, which is kind of the middle reader section, and they have some really cool stories that are coming out there too. So if you've got kids who read comics, if you're a kid that reads comics, if you're a teenager who reads comics, if you're an adult who reads comics and likes comics from all different genres and all sort of different walks of life, go check out Mad Cave and their imprints and all their stuff they're doing. And for sure, check out the Phantom. If you like pulp fun and fun jungle adventures and mystery, I think this book's gonna rule. And I'm really looking forward to it. And I never wanted a letter from a magical school that was delivered by an owl or whatever, but my heart swole up and I got a little misty-eyed when I got a letter from the ghost who walks. Big ups, Mad Cave. That was a clutch move. Your boy really appreciated that. That made me really happy. I hope you find something that makes you happy today too. We'll talk again soon. Bye.